Two sessions now over. It was obviously quite different from years past. Shorter version, some of it online, impacted by the coronavirus. What do you see as the major takeaways?
I think here in Washington, people are mainly talking about the national security law on Hong Kong. But I think there are a lot of other achievements from these two sessions. One is obviously this economic kind of actions to be taken to develop the economy, and another is about this civil code and some more about this employment. And I think those are basically domestic issues. I see a lot of developments.
And you mentioned Hong Kong. It's obviously getting a lot of press here in the West and elsewhere. Donald Trump expected to talk about China tomorrow. Do you think that this is going to create even more of a wedge between these two countries?
I think this is going to be a serious issue between our two countries, and I think the Washington now is having a misconcept on Hong Kong. They believe with the introduction of this national security law, there will be no one country, two system. But I think this is too early to make a judgment. We will see how Chinese government and together with the Hong Kong local government are going to do together on this law, national security law issue. And I think China will try its level best to balance between protecting its own national security issue and also to preserve the one country, two system.
Let's talk about extreme poverty alleviation, because, again, that was a focus this year. We just heard in that report that China still feels it can hit this target. But we've seen so many economies cratering and a lot of people slipping into poverty. How does China address this, especially this year with the coronavirus and its impact on the economy?
Yes, it's correct. We see a very serious impact of this COVID-19 on this mission of elimination of poverty, and we see some dozens of thousands of people returning back to poverty because of this issue. And Premier Li Keqiang was also talking about this issue. But I think China has taken different fiscal, financial, and other measures to try to help those kind of rural workers to return back to their jobs in the cities, and also to try to introduce people to buy those goods produced by the rural area. And also China is trying to re-emphasize the agriculture, the rice, grain, and also pork, this kind of production, because we are facing a shortage of some food supply. I think a lot of issues are happening and a lot of measures are being taken. I think that this issue, elimination of poverty, this job will be done by the end of this year.
Let me ask you one final question before we let you go. You know, if you and I were to sit down in September and have coffee and talk about the two sessions, we probably would have predicted that there'd be a lot of talk about the Belt and Road and what the GDP number would be. Obviously, things quite different. How has the pandemic changed China's approach moving forward, do you think?
I think you're right. It's very clear. It's especially interesting that for the first time in several decades, these two sessions didn't name any specific target of economic growth. I think it's both because of the domestic impact of the COVID-19, also because of the international impact. You see many other countries like United States, Europe, and they are facing a lot of problems for reopening the economy. That is linking. That is also impacting Chinese economy, because we are manufacturing a lot of things for international markets. And we see like African, South Asian countries, they are still in the early stage of this pandemic. We may see more uncertainty. So I think China, for its part, is becoming more worried, or they are not feeling so much certain about this pandemic and its economic perspective.